From ABC News, this is World News Tonight, Sunday. Now from our Washington headquarters, here is Sam Donaldson.
Good evening. The United States and Israel locked in a grave policy confrontation as a result of this weekend's bloody massacre of Palestinian civilians in West Beirut, considered their next moves today. The Israeli cabinet met to ponder President Reagan's demand that Israel withdraw from Beirut immediately and perhaps to place blame. Some speculated that Defense Minister Sharon might even be forced to resign. And here in Washington, President Reagan considered the option of sending U.S. Marines back to Beirut to help restore Lebanese control there. So serious is the crisis that Philip Habib, the president's top Middle East envoy, interrupted his vacation to return to Washington. But even before Habib arrived, the president had met with his top foreign policy advisors at the White House. More on that from Ann Compton.
The parade of limousines up the White House drive brought in all of the administration's key players, including the Secretary of State and the entire National Security Council. They came with advice for President Reagan on whether the U.S. troops may be needed again in Lebanon. For more than an hour in the White House Situation Room, the president weighed the options. First, the U.S. agrees with last night's UN resolution increasing the number of observers in Beirut, but that force may not be enough. Next, the U.S. is willing to consider the suggested shift of some peacekeeping soldiers, called UNIFIL forces, away from the Israeli border up to the troubled city of Beirut. No American troops are assigned to UNIFIL. Finally comes the most difficult option, Italy's proposal to reconstitute the multinational force of French, Italian, and American Marines which secured Beirut during the PLO evacuation. The U.S. is talking privately with Italy and France about the possibility. In the wake of the massacre in the Palestinian refugee camps in Beirut, the administration contacted congressional leaders, and Senator Howard Baker says there is no doubt who is to blame.
You were briefed by the Secretary this morning. Did the Secretary of State suggest to you, as the President's statement did yesterday, that we hold Israel responsible for what happened in these Palestinian camps?
I think clearly so. I think it is not a question of Israel being directly responsible for the terrible massacre.
I mean, they didn't
but
do the
it is
killing.
clear that they went back into to Lebanon without against our wishes. It is clear that they were there and in the vicinity, at least, of those camps and did not prevent it.
Tonight, yet another meeting of the national security participants got underway at the White House to refine the options that will go to President Reagan. Options on more than just a peacekeeping force to clear the city of Beirut of Israeli forces, because President Reagan has asked the group to come up with a new strategy to clear all Lebanon of all foreign forces. Ann Compton, ABC News, the White House.
This is Bill Siemens. The Israeli cabinet was called into special session tonight by Prime Minister Begin, whose government is facing a new storm of criticism from political opponents at home, as a feeling of shock and revulsion swept the country after Israel TV showed scenes of the Beirut massacre. Begin has ordered an investigation, and the Israelis have turned the Palestinian camps over to the Lebanese army and say they are thinning out their forces in West Beirut. But Begin's political opposition is clamoring for more. The Labor Party is demanding that Begin and Defense Minister Sharon resign. Labor's leader, Shimon Peres, appeared on This Week with David Brinkley today.
I believe none of us, neither in the government nor in the opposition, ever dreamed that such a terrible thing may happen in Lebanon. Yet we cannot become the policeman or the controller of Lebanon, and we have to hand over this country and its capital immediately to their own hands for their own judgment, hopefully for their own coalition.
Meanwhile, demonstrations broke out to demand an immediate withdrawal from Beirut. In Jerusalem, hundreds of protesters tried to march on Begin's residence, but were dispersed by police spraying tear gas. In Rosh Hanikra, on the border, protesters tried to block the road into Lebanon. Fistfights broke out with Begin supporters. And in Tel Aviv tonight, other demonstrators tried to block traffic and received some rough handling by the police. They were shouting, "Begin is a murderer," and police moved in to break it up. These demonstrations were organized by the Peace Now movement, which has in the past represented a minority opinion. The question tonight is whether the Beirut massacres have turned that minority into a majority opinion. Bill Siemens, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Before dawn today, the UN Security Council, with the United States concurring, condemned what it called the criminal massacre of Palestinian civilians in Beirut. Pope John Paul II called it a ruthless and evil crime. The Egyptian government threatened to recall its ambassador to Israel, and the Soviet Union charged that the United States is responsible for the massacre because the Palestinians trusted Washington to protect them. But while the words of outrage continued, so did the sickening job of collecting the dead. Mike McCourt reports from the scene.
The savagery of the Friday night slaughter in the Palestinian camps is nearly beyond comprehension. This morning, bodies were still strewn everywhere in Sabra and Shatila, including 18 men who were shot at close range in an alley and an entire family murdered in their home. Survivors, many of them in extreme shock, say the killings were the work of a right-wing militia called the Kataib and other right-wingers led by Major Saad Haddad. But Amin Gemayel, the presidential nominee whose brother Bashir was assassinated last week, says his Kataib forces were not involved, nor were any other Lebanese. Gemayel says the killings were a monstrous crime committed by unknown elements.
It's really horrible, and we have to stop immediately such kind of action in Lebanon. We have to stop this bloody war.
Gemayel met this morning for a half hour with the American Middle East envoy, Morris Draper. Draper would not comment after the session about the Friday killings, but other diplomatic sources here say the American administration is convinced the Kataib was responsible. The Israelis, after securing the camps yesterday, began to pull out this morning, even though Palestinian civilians implored them to stay and provide protection. The Lebanese army is now in charge of security at Sabra and Shatila, but that is of no great comfort to the Palestinians who remain. Ironically, they feel that the Israelis, who raided and bombed them with enormous violence almost all summer, are now the only people who can keep them safe. Mike McCourt, ABC News, in West Beirut.
World News Tonight, Sunday, brought to you by Unisom.
Now more people take Unisom than any other sleep aid because millions have discovered that Unisom works. They fall asleep fast. Only Unisom has doxylamine. And in medical tests, Unisom helped people feel drowsy, so they fell asleep faster, significantly faster than they did without Unisom, and slept better all night. For occasional sleeplessness, more people trust Unisom. Take Unisom and fall asleep faster.
It's the oldest question in the world.
What'll I have for dinner?
Well, Stouffer's has more than 40 different answers. 9 chicken dishes, 13 beef, 8 Italian dishes. We've got crepes, Chinese dishes, Japanese, Swedish, and of course, American. So if you're looking for answers, you ought to be looking at Stouffer's.
I know what I'm having for dinner. Stouffer's.
Set yourself free. Set yourself free with Stouffer's.
26,000 railroad engineers went on strike this morning, virtually shutting down rail traffic across the nation. And key administration officials said they'll recommend that Congress pass emergency legislation to end the strike unless a settlement is reached by tomorrow morning. Michael Connor reports on the effects of and the reasons for the walkout.
In Chicago, the hub of the nation's rail system, engineers took to the picket lines at freight and passenger terminals when it became clear that a settlement had not been reached. The strike effectively shut down commuter rail service here, leaving stations that are normally active with only a few travelers who hadn't yet heard the news. Only Amtrak trains east of the city were operating, and ridership on the national system was way down. Amtrak, which carries 50,000 passengers daily, lost its lines in the south and west, leaving only service in the northeast. Freight operations continued in some areas, but future deliveries of food, particularly fruits and vegetables, grain, coal, and steel, remain in question. The railroads say they'll try to get by the best they can with supervisory personnel.
We can handle more than 50% of our normal operation in freight service throughout the 10 states we serve.
For the engineers, the issue is a proposed contract provision which would keep them from striking during the life of a new contract. They want the right to strike if other crew members get a higher rate of pay.
Based upon skill and responsibility, we feel that the engineer must be the highest paid member of the crew.
It may be some time yet before the national economy begins to feel the impact of this strike. But here in Chicago, where 120,000 commuters each day rely on rail lines that have now been shut down, the impact will be clear and dramatic, starting tomorrow morning. Michael Connor, ABC News, Chicago.
In Los Angeles, striking bus drivers approved a new contract after having been off the job for 5 days, meaning bus service will resume there tomorrow morning. Trains, buses, both small potatoes compared to automobiles when it comes to moving people. The car's the thing America runs on. And Bettina Gregory reports that Americans run farther in a foreign-made car, according to the latest mileage tests conducted by the Environmental Protection Agency.
The EPA tests on new 1983 models show if you're looking for fuel economy, foreign cars are still the best. The Volkswagen Rabbit diesel won the top overall rating, averaging 50 miles to the gallon. EPA officials say the Rabbit has a new feature which conserves fuel by shutting off the engine when the car is idling or decelerating. Next on the list is the Nissan Sentra diesel, getting 48 miles to the gallon, and the Honda Civic clocking in at 46. Although the Civic is third in the overall list, the EPA test shows it gets the best mileage of any car powered by gasoline. It's followed by Toyota Starlet models in second and third place at 44 and 42 miles to the gallon. The most fuel-efficient American cars were the Chevrolet Chevette diesel and the Pontiac 1000 diesel. Both got 42 miles to the gallon. The EPA tests cars by running them under ideal conditions in the laboratory. That's why the agency stresses these estimates should only be used for comparison, since they don't take individual driving habits, road conditions, or weather into account. The EPA tests all cars, even gas guzzlers. This year, one of the worst ones was the Rolls-Royce Corniche. It got only 9 miles to the gallon. But people who drive Rolls-Royces probably don't worry much about fuel economy. Bettina Gregory, ABC News, Washington.
You seem upset, Mrs. Anders.
Not really. It's just...
Touch of constipation?
And I'm not thrilled with my laxative.
Ever hear of the Overnight Wonder?
X-Lax?
X-Lax pills. Give me your hand. Meet the Overnight Wonder.
It's tiny.
It's all you need. You see, X-Lax pills gently stimulate your system's own natural rhythm.
So in the morning...
Your own system takes it from there, comfortably.
That's for me.
Good. Just look for X-Lax pills. The Overnight Wonder.
My one wish for the future. To feel young forever. Of course, to feel younger, you must also look it. So I use Oil of Olay, and I'll never stop. Oil of Olay enlivens my skin, helps it look fresh and smooth, so it feels very soft. And I can feel younger, whatever my age.
Discover the secret of Oil of Olay. It can help you look younger, so you'll feel younger, too.
Polydent presents Martha Ray, stage star, denture wearer.
When I have to give an audience my big Martha Ray smile, I need something extra. Extra strength Polydent Green. It gets my dentures sparkling clean. Watch, tough lab stains. Now, extra strength Polydent. It's fantastic. Gets tough stains clean, even in between. So take it from a big mouth. Try Polydent Green. Get tough stains clean with extra strength.
If you see one mouse, you've probably got a lot more. Mice always live in groups, and they breed like crazy. But you can get rid of your mice problem with Decon Mouseproof. Mouseproof is better than traps. A trap kills only one mouse at a time, but Decon Mouseproof can kill mice by the dozen. Mouseproof bait is clean and easy to use, yet so effective it's America's #1 mouse killer. Decon Mouseproof, the way to get rid of your mice problem.
Mark Twain once edited it. For 148 years, people have been reading it, but this morning, the Buffalo Courier-Express newspaper folded, joining a sad list of daily newspapers that have ceased publication in recent years. Ray Nunn has the obituary from Buffalo.
It was the last paste-up for Buffalo's morning newspaper. The final edition rolled off the presses just after midnight. Since 1979, the Courier-Express has been waging a costly battle for readers with Buffalo's other paper, the Evening News. Although the News is the major paper in the market, both are swimming in red ink. But the Courier-Express has lost the most, close to $26 million in 3 years.
Under the circumstances, Coles Media can no longer prudently continue publication of the Courier-Express.
An attempt was made to save the paper, but the Newspaper Guild rejected an offer from media magnate Rupert Murdoch, which called for a 40% staffing cut without regard to seniority. So now the paper's 1,100 employees are jobless at a time when unemployment in Buffalo is near 13%.
I have to support my family. If I don't find something here in the next couple of months, it's Florida bound.
In recent years, a number of major city newspapers have gone belly up. The list includes the Hartford Times, the Cleveland Press, the Philadelphia Bulletin, and the Washington Star. But those were all evening newspapers. Here in Buffalo, it is the morning paper that has failed.
The reason the Courier-Express was second in the market there is really a culmination of a long history of not being really a very good newspaper.
The Evening News will begin publishing a morning edition tomorrow. The News now has a monopoly.
In my mind, you might get some slanted ideas of what is going on in the community.
Whatever the dangers at sunrise tomorrow, Buffalo joins the growing ranks of one newspaper cities. Ray Nunn, ABC News, Buffalo, New York.
Hamilton Jordan, former President Carter's chief of staff, says in his new book that an Iranian emissary suggested at the height of the hostage crisis that the way to resolve it was for the United States to kill the exiled Shah, who was then living in Panama. "You're kidding," Jordan says he replied. But the emissary pressed his idea, proposing an injection by the CIA or something like that. Jordan rejected the idea. The emissary, it turns out, was Sadiq Gobsadeh, the former Iranian foreign minister who was executed by a firing squad in Tehran last Wednesday. Dick Schaap is next with a look at today's football action and a report on the career of a little man with a big reputation as a baseball manager.
Yes, we love our shredded wheat. It gets us on our way. We love that whole wheat flavor. What a way to start our day.
It has no added sugar. I like that best of all.
And not a bit of added salt in the big or small.
No added sugar, no added salt. Nabisco shredded wheat is the natural favorite of all kinds of people.
Morning time is great with shredded wheat. We love each crunchy bite. Nabisco shredded wheat is real whole wheat, that's right.
Made from 100% natural whole wheat. No added sugar, no added salt.
That's right.
Out of the blue comes the ice blue freshness of Aquavelva. Out of the blue comes the Aquavelva man. Looking for the light scent, the clean scent, the fresh scent that comes from out of the blue. There's something about an Aquavelva man. Be one.
America on the move. On the tire Michelin pioneered, the Radial. We are moving thousands of trucks and trailers. We are delivering produce and flowers and school children. We are taking people to work, to shop, to play. We are pushing, hauling, carrying, scraping. When America demands performance, we deliver. We are Michelin, and we put America on radials.
What kind of people drink Sanka brand? People like Joe Zabrowski, underwater welder.
I love my coffee, but too much caffeine makes me tense. Down here, I can't afford that, so I drink Sanka brand decaffeinated coffee. In this sea air, hot coffee tastes especially good, and Sanka brand's 100% real coffee. So for me, it's just smart to drink Sanka brand.
Sanka brand, for people who love coffee, but not caffeine.
If the National Football League season ends this week, and it could, the Pittsburgh Steelers at least will go on strike smiling. The Steelers today won their second straight when, in sudden death overtime, Jack Ham pressured Cincinnati's Ken Anderson into throwing a pass intercepted by Wayne Woodruff, whose return inside the 5-yard line set up Terry Bradshaw's game-winning touchdown pass to wide-open John Stallworth. Also in the American Conference, Kansas City and the New York Jets each won for the first time. In the National Conference, Dallas and New Orleans won for the first time, and in interconference play, the Los Angeles Raiders remained unbeaten. Philadelphia won its first. Baseball's two tightest races are in the American League. In the West, California drew even with Kansas City today, and in the East, Milwaukee remained in first. The Brewers led by veteran Don Sutton, who struck out Greg Nettles in an early bases-loaded situation, and by Robin Yount, the MVP candidate whose fifth-inning triple helped turn a tight 2-1 game into a Milwaukee runaway. Milwaukee's victory, keeping the Brewers 2 games ahead of Baltimore, which also won, spoiled an otherwise lovely day for Earl Weaver.
Earl Weaver is the rarest of breeds, a big league baseball manager who has never been fired and has never had a losing season. For 15 winning seasons, he has managed the Baltimore Orioles, and next month he will give up that job by his own choice. A miracle in a game in which self-proclaimed geniuses are regularly dismissed and proven losers regularly rehired. The lame duck manager of the Orioles will be remembered as a rare bird.
Really, I don't think they'll remember Earl Weaver at all. I think I'm the fellow that had to hang up the lineup every day.
Weaver will be remembered for his wise and potent lineups and for more. Surely for his confrontations with umpires, small wars which during his 15 seasons caused him to be kicked out of games 86 times so far.
I'm certainly not happy about the confrontations with them, and certainly sorry about some of the words that I've said. When you go home and look at it, I say to myself, now how could I act like that? I've always wanted to be able to walk out and argue with an umpire in a manner that, we'll say, Bill Verdon does, very calmly, quiet, that keeps the blood pressure down, and you're going to say more sensible words if you can do that, but I've never been able to do that.
Strangely, considering all the time he has spent addressing umpires, Weaver has never asked this umpire, Dave Phillips, about his father. The senior Phillips used to umpire minor league games in which Weaver played.
He's questioned whether my mom and dad were married when I was born, but never whether or not my dad ever umpired.
Weaver will be remembered, too, for confrontations with his own players, with catcher Rick Dempsey, for instance.
He walked around and stood up on this little chair in front of me so he could be as tall as I am, and he started in on me yelling and screaming, and I yelled and screamed back, and he said he had a fat little guy down in AAA ball that could out-hit me. I said, well, good, go get him. If you want him, go get him. And from that time on, I guess whenever I felt like he was unjustly yelling and screaming at me, I gave it right back.
Pitcher Jim Palmer, a star reborn this season at the age of 36, has been giving it back to Weaver for 15 seasons. Will you miss him?
I think that I'll have a lot of apprehension when I go to spring training next year. I don't know if I'll miss the tantrums and the yelling and the lack of solitude, but whoever comes in here has a lot of really rather small shoes, size 8, but I think when you take his record in consideration, they grow a lot larger, and what they're going to have to do is fill one of the best managers that ever stepped on a field.
There's no fun in managing. It's work, and it's tension, and it's nervousness. It's stepping on someone's toes. It's hollering at the umpire. It's possibly removing a pitcher when he wants to stay in the game.
Weaver has made countless brilliant decisions and has bruised countless feelings. He has been respected by his players, but not loved, not by his players.
I really love Earl. I understand him. I think he's the greatest manager in baseball. The reason I think that Earl and I have such a great relationship is that all my life I wanted to be a big league manager, and all Earl's life he wanted to be a trial lawyer. And he practices on the umpires.
Will you miss him?
No.
The fans of the Orioles will miss him, and today in Baltimore they honored him with Earl Weaver Day, lifting his name right up there with the native Baltimoreans, showering him with gifts, with praise, even with a song that was, considering the 52-year-old subject, surprisingly sweet and low-key.
We'll always remember the Earl of Baltimore.
Why would a man so gifted retire at 52 from a game he has always loved? Earl Weaver has the best answer. I'd like to watch the sunset turn to dusk without the stadium lights coming on. A gruff poet.
You might not think I have to watch my weight. But I do. So I always try to get as much flavor for my calories as I can. Now there's a super new way. New lean cuisine from Stouffer's, a company that really knows how to make food taste good. Their new lean cuisine entrees are full of the flavor a dieter needs to succeed, yet each is less than 300 calories. Now when you watch your weight, do it deliciously with new lean cuisine from Stouffer's.
Off the white belly jet that lands me to a hotel that understands me. I've got business and I'm on the road again. Feeling the pressure mounting on me, counting the people counting on me. Competition like I can't remember when. And you can reach me at the Hilton, just call me at the Hilton, and we'll get down to your business right away.
When American business hits the road, American business stops at Hilton, America's business address.
Dyslexia. Millions have trouble learning and don't know why. Monday on ABC's World News Tonight.
2 weeks ago, punk was the thing when we reported on the big rock festival in Southern California. Well, tonight we go down to northern Mississippi, where it's funk, not punk, that has them rolling in the aisles. And if you don't know what funk is, consider Charles Murphy's report now required listening.
The Mississippi made the Delta, and the Delta made the blues. It came out of hard times and heartache.
I was standing at the crossroads with my head hung down crying.
From the shacks and little towns, it went north, and it became the city blues. But its natural sources were this Delta and Central Texas. The blues greatly influenced popular music, though it always had a narrow following, working-class blacks and a few whites.
10 years ago, the blues was almost dead, a victim of rock and roll. But this festival, starting 5 years ago, has helped revive interest.
At the Delta Blues Festival, a call goes out to come and gather, as it was done 100 years ago. And the handful of country blues artists still around perform. Some think the blues may die out with them, but maybe not.
You have more young people interested in blues now than you did when it was popular back in, say, in the 40s.
Why do you think they are?
Because of, I guess, hard times and frustration, because that's what the blues is all about.
Blues singer Son Thomas agrees.
Like a long time ago, we'd working on these white people's places and work a whole year and say, come out behind. You got 8 or 10 children and no food for them, no money to buy clothes, sitting in a cold house. Well, that's the blues.
30,000 came. Because of its association with poverty and inequality, many blacks turned away from blues, but white college kids have helped keep it alive.
I've been weaned on it. I love the blues.
Kids weaned on rock back up John Lee Hooker. He went north too, but today he was back home.
Mississippi is my home, my home. Went back to Mississippi, Mississippi. Mississippi is my home, my home. I'm going back to Mississippi, Mississippi. Hey, hey, boys. Don't you know, don't you know?
Charles Murphy, ABC News in Freedom Village, Mississippi.
And that's the Funky Blues, and that's our report for now. Tom Jarrell will be here later with more news on the Weekend Report. I'm Sam Donaldson. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
Tonight, celebrate a star-studded occasion. All the glamour, excitement, and prestige of television's highest award.
And the winner is...
The stars come out and television shines. Tonight, a 3-hour spectacular, the Emmy Awards.
Tonight.
Next week on PM Magazine, see a barefoot water skier risk his neck for a world record.
Step into the bizarre world of nightmares and learn what your bad dreams really mean.
Meet Morris the cat and discover how being finicky made him famous.
And visit a factory where Uncle Sam makes cold cash by the truckload.
That's all next week on Channel 2's PM Magazine at 6:30.
Look who's eating his way through Arby's. Pac-Man! Arby's new Pac-Man glass is so popular, everything at Arby's is being gobbled up. There goes a roast beef deluxe. There goes a sub. Whoops, there goes our logo. Come to Arby's today for your fabulous Pac-Man glass. But you better hurry, that Pac-Man is insatiable. There's no stopping him. Get your official Pac-Man glass today, only at Arby's.
General Electric in Nashville, WNGE-TV.